Hi there, my name is Brandon Baker, and I've been tasked with implementing a new mechanic into the tile-based puzzle game Tornamental. My mechanic is freezing ice slides. Upon entering one of these frozen tiles, you'll be pushed to the furthest possible tile. If that tile is unenterable, you will add 1 to your cold counter. Cold counter goes to a maximum of 3 before your player is frozen and the level restarts. To avoid restarting and freezing your player, you'll want to slide to an enterable tile. Upon entering an enterable tile, you'll hear a sizzling sound effect, and your cold counter will be reset at 0. Let's look at the blueprints. Okay, first we'll take a look at the ice tile. So upon entering an ice tile, we're given 2 references, one to the previous tile and one to the entering entity. So first we'll take that previous tile reference using the isTile neighbor node to get the neighbor direction of that of that previous tile, which we'll use to take the opposite direction to find the next tile. And then if that tile can be entered, we'll move the player entity to that tile. We'll also use the entering entity reference casted to the player entity to check the cold counter. If the cold counter is at 2 already, that means that the player has already run into 2 unenterable tiles, meaning that we need to freeze them. So we'll disable their input, play the freezing wind sound effect, and then after a 2-second delay, we'll cast to the game mode to reset the map. Otherwise, we'll increment the cold counter by 1 and tell the player entity to run 2 cold, which gives us the getting colder function. The getting colder function in our player entity checks the cold counter, and at 0 we're going to play that sizzling sound effect. I'm sorry, we're gonna change the material back to the original material, so our gray player entity. At 1 for the cold counter, we're going to play the ice crackling sound, change everything to a icy blue, and at 2 we will play another ice crackling sound effect and change everything to a darker icy blue. I have included a third in case there's a reason to have a third level of ice for a further level. In the floor tile, we're using the entering entity to cast to the player, check the cold counter. If the cold counter is greater than 0, we're going to reset the cold counter at 0 and turn the character back to gray, and then play the sizzling sound effect. And that is my mechanic. Thank you very much.